So let's actually sit a little bit tonight, you guys, and really take advantage of the fact that all of those places that you might not want to use a chair in class because it's a little disruptive or any of those things, which I hope we do a really good job at Willow Street of helping us create the space we need to for the practices and support we need to. So if sitting on the floor is not the most practical thing, please just sit on up in a chair and we'll just take a moment to get a little bit quiet. And then from there we can shift to the next. Oh, things to have. A block is great. I meant to do a poll on who had blocks. It won't be definite. We could also use a book or something that's tightly rolled up. We're going to adduct with it. We're going to put it between our knees. Also, some kind of tie or strap is going to be useful. So, and on the way to watch this front, just put yourself in speaker mode and then mute it. And then if you need to ask a question at any point, which I'll be pausing and checking in for, just go ahead and just unmute and just go ahead and yell out, and you'll go on my main screen and we'll be chatting it up. So that is the plan. Take a moment wherever you're sitting and however you're sitting. I just want to be honest. I just ordered a big thing. I'm just on where I am tonight. To be in the camera view, I cannot see all of these little views of you guys, the folks who are on the video part. Yeah, so I don't know, I felt like full disclosure or something. So I'm just gonna tell you that as I suggest, however you're sitting, give yourself a little bit of internal rotation, roll your inner thighs down a bit, and even pull your sits bones apart. And of course, any of you who have taken this class or this time slot with me before know what I'm going to bring your attention to is the lumbar curve, which I'm a real big fan of. Believe it or not, if you have a little bit of arch in your low back or not, affects your knees pretty surprisingly and fundamentally. So some of us might not be there, and that's where we also might use some proppy to help tilt the pelvis. I'm in a tight cross-legged seat, but you can be in any cross-legged seat or not cross-legged at all. And we're looking, of course, to have the pelvis a little bit more tilted. Even squeezing the knees together, leaning forward and sort of sticking your bum out, so you're taking your sits bones down and apart, is going to be really useful. From here, yogis, wherever you are, we'll just meditate just for a moment. We'll maybe end with that deeper practice if there's time. Squeeze in a little bit between your knees. However you're sitting, this will work. Interlace your fingers. Flip the heels of your hands over. Keep your hands a little bit forward. And you'll notice with your hands a little more forward, you can take your armpits, not only back and down, that's kind of the obvious action, but you can take them up and back. In fact, if you imagined your hands were hitting some resistance, you could probably create that action even stronger. Armpits go up and back. You create more length. Remember that squeeze between your knees, roll your pubic bone down. Keep your fingers interlaced, press your elbows apart. Inhale, lift your heart, curl back. From here, release your hands, turn your fingers, turn your palms towards one another. Stretch out from your back ribs to your thumb tips. Keep that squeeze, please, between your knees. We're going to go Adi Mudra because of its grounding qualities. You're going to curl your thumbs into your palms and just wrap them up like baby fists. Close your eyes if it's comfortable and allow yourself to have a downward gaze into your heart. Take a breath into the experience that you're having. Feel your breath connected to low belly, Simultaneously, feel it right outside your nostrils. And just be with this gift of life, pulsing through you, and reminding you of an inner connection to really all things. Without pushing, invite the breath deeper into pelvis and pelvic floor as you inhale. Feel it right outside your nostrils at the same time. Simply stepping into the choice of listening, we create space. Welcome the space. It's yours. We're not so much creating it as creating an environment where we can recognize it. In this space, we have an opportunity to make better choices, to move from our hearts instead of our fears, to remember, like we're doing right now, that it's in interconnection. It's through connection that we support, we grow. Connection in the reflections we are in each other. Connection to this remarkable and challenging body. Connection to this miracle we call breath. This gift of a life that we can only see from these eyes in this journey of us. Yoga invites us to remember the big picture, as do worldwide pandemics. And the challenge, and the scariness of this time, there's also a grace and a gift to it. Let's connect to our own source and destination, our own hearts, with Anjali Mudra, with a true sense of gratitude for all the possibilities of connection, for all that is yet to be revealed on our journeys. We turn inside and we simply give thanks. You bow your head if you wish. Just pause in this gesture of humility, because if anything lets us know that we're not in charge, it is certainly our current circumstances. Take a breath into your universal body as expressed through the back of your heart. Release your hands. Take a moment. Let your eyes cast down and just allow the light to come in. Let yourself adjust and notice the shift that you have already created outside of external circumstances. The invitation of yoga. Lift up, and we're going to do, I think, we'll do a little, just with the knee stuff, and maybe the fact that I want to keep my pants on, oh no, I have lots of pants on, is you could do it if you're sitting in a chair, you could absolutely stay there. I wanted to get us a little bit into some footwork on this connecting idea, but let's do a quick little bit. There's two, not to go too crazy into knees or try to overwork, it gave us a nice steady practice, but with the knees, there's three key ideas that we want to keep in mind. Largest, freest joint in the body, so just strengthening the knees is a good idea. The next two are more anatomical. It's the tendency for the knees to lock back. And when we're not going to tackle tonight, the tendency for the knees to drop into the midline. So the strength piece is key, but let's take a quick moment to deal with the hyperextension piece, which relates a little bit to why we, on occasion, and I already did it on one of these videos, do a little bit of a quick calf massage. Let's do the quick version tonight. This is that one where you're gonna probably use your sit on the floor. Your foot is flat. You're coming from below the knee, and we're just working the thumbs down. And the idea here is there's a bigger calf muscle. It's got a great name, the gastrocnemius. You're gonna work it down, and there's a groove right in the middle. That groove might not be real obvious, so kind of trust yourself. Go a little looser the first time and think of just being centered if you're not familiar. And then the next time you go up, go a little more assertive. So you're working in towards the bone. What we're doing, we're just getting this bigger muscle out of the way. Because with the pattern of hyperextension, we actually want to get to this other muscle for a number of reasons. Is to get to a little deeper muscle underneath. Like I said, we're doing the quick version, which I'm not going to give the quick version of anything. You're going to slide through this groove now a couple times. And then you're just going to press right into your calf muscle towards the bone in any of that groove that you opened up. You'll know you're with me because you'll feel your eyebrows will lift up a little bit. And then you're going to hold this pressure. You're in charge, of course. Don't overdo it. Make sure your breath is available. And we're just going to flex the foot a few times. And then, as you flex the foot, you're holding the muscle in contraction. This is a really good place to work. Believe it or not, this even affects the blood flow for reasons I'll resist. Tonight. So this is what we're going to do for the sake of time, because I do want to get us, of course, into some bigger poses. But there's a great thing I sometimes say. So I'm just going to give us an option here. Some of us, there's a lot of alumni in our group, might just know that this is a good, what I just suggested is a good thing to do. You feel free to use more time on that. I guess I don't have to make that preface all the time since we're in this situation. As the group, though, we're going to stay on that same side. We're going to do the other calf muscle in a moment. Bring up your foot in any way that works, that gives you some access to it. For a few of us, I know the thumbs aren't the best way to go here, so you could use knuckles, you could use fists. But on this connecting theme, and also on grounding, right? The massage therapy practice, I always make a point, even if I have a real specific avenue that I'm working down, I always make a point to connect with the feet a little bit. And so here I'm just going to invite you to come from the top and use your thumbs on your medial arch, the big arch in the foot. And not rocket science, right? Just like if we're doing the fascia work or the tennis ball work, body will just let you know. And there's some real specific attachments right into this arch that should be pretty easy to find. Don't torture yourself, but any of those spots that seem a little juicier, just give them some love. The number of nerves in your feet our feet, is really quite remarkable. Some of you may have heard me tell you this before. I remember what training, it was a massage tutorial video series I was doing. Anyway, it was great. It was this picture of a human done in proportion to the amount of nerves we have. So it was this just bizarre creature with these huge hands and feet, lips and eyes, like we have a lot in our face. But like the back of our legs have very little nerves relative to the left, so it had these tiny little skinny limbs and just fantastically huge genitals. And so our feet are, key for just getting a nice grounded, steadying effect. And of course, the yogis would say everything from our pelvis down is earth energy. Let's move over to the ball of the feet, yogis. Grab the ball of your big toe, ball of your little toe, still same foot, and you're just going to pull them apart and give them a wiggle. The idea here, you guys keep doing that, is we're going to activate, open up our transverse arch, the arch that goes across the top of your foot, which most shoes do not support, ironically. And we're just going to work this just a little bit more with the good old Jenny Otto inspired. Jenny Otto inspired so much of my foot love and yoga practice and life. Interlace your fingers with your toes. You can take that to wherever it works. You might want to do it with skip a finger. Some of us will be fine webbing to webbing. Of course, if that's good, you get right in there and you would wiggle it in a bit. Find what works. You can stabilize your ankle from the floor. You can turn this a little bit to more of a hip stretch. And we're just going to make some big circles here. I'm going to reverse these circles. Stay right in there. Open up your fingers. Slide your toe fingers out. Draw the toes back and forward. And this is one of the main reasons I wanted us to get here, was for this. Please give yourself a hand. The Pokemon percussive technique. And from that slapping, go loose fist. Pound out your soul. Let's keep loving ourselves up and connecting. We're going to keep it going. We're going to switch over to the other side. We're going to start with a little, open up the calf muscle a bit. So remember, we're working our way down, we're opening ourselves up, just finding this groove. And we're going to do kind of the quick version. We're going to slide through this groove a time or two. We're going to press in towards the bone, probably around the belly of the muscle, kind of the thicker bit is the place to try first. But of course, those of you who are familiar already kind of know what's happening here a little bit. In fact, might even be changing it up with a little consistency. On our better production, I hope, let me know, I'm hoping video, the audio is decent. But I do have some earbuds, ear pro buds. Anyway, that was the way to go we found. Anyway, audio should be better any day now. We're going to move on to the foot. And remember there, we went just to that medial arch and coming in from the top. And really let your mind go right to your fingertips. Kind of feel that that is part of the listening. Your proprioception abilities, your ability to feel is really quite remarkable. One of the many, many amazing things about you is that sixth sense, proprioception, is really continually developed as long as we're alive. Be conscious and find those juicy bits. We cross that line and overstimulate, of course, that listening ability will be lessened a bit. And then from here, we're going to move over to, remember we grab the ball of the big toe, you guys can keep your foot down, is grab the ball of the big toe, ball of the little toe, and literally just try to pull them apart, broaden out. Use your thumbs, you can kind of encourage that arch that goes across the top of the foot. Just decompressing a little bit. Like I was saying, in response to Susan's sharing, from here, interlace the fingers. You might want to use your other hand to get in there, but you're just finding whatever works. Stabilize your ankle with the other hand. Remember, you might want to turn this into a hip stretch for more bang for the butt, since we're taking a bit of a foot detour here. Big full circles. Reversing these circles. Open up your fingers between your toes. Slide them out. Draw your toes back, forward. Let's take a little extra time with this tonight. Give yourself a hand. So much funner when we can hear everybody doing it. Like when they play jokes like, you've had a bad day, and if you've had a bad day, just pretend all of this is for you. See, we're all plotting. It's hilarious. That joke you could tell it for years. But who would do that? Who would do that? Loose fist, pound it out. Like Lori Weiland, I might do a joke here, like pounding out the soul. That's the true spiritual work of yoga. You don't want to support that. I know you're all laughing because you're muted. It's totally good. From there, I think we forgot it on the other side, but a little bit of a crazy shake would be the tradition. And from here, we are sliding on to our backs, yogis. I believe the studio has warmed up. I'm going to remove some clothes in a second, but you guys are going to draw your knees up and just give yourself a hug. Take a moment here and just stay with the listening theme. So we'll turn it a little bit more active, but just double check so you're not straining. If you need to slide a blanket underneath your head, you could do that. Just get all apanasana. And one of those ways that we really, a good sign of that contraction, or the way we get institutionalized in those stress patterns, which, as we know as a group, can really be also described, basic yogic ideas, breath patterns, is right through the diaphragm, right? As the breath gets moved up to the chest, and then it becomes a self-perpetuating thing. Our body doesn't have the pulsation it needs to support itself. We get more and more contracted. The nice part is change is available in your natural state. So just right here, let's just even remind ourselves of that bigger pulse and the bigger support that we can already feel through this choice to connect on all these levels. Is all we're going to do is give yourself a good old squeeze as you exhale. Remember, you've propped it away, that there's no distractions in body. If knees and the deep flexion doesn't work in knees, it's really the thighs on the belly we're looking for. So you can do hands behind the thighs. For most of us, probably just the exhale, squeeze of the thighs, hands on the shins. And then you're going to inhale. And now as you inhale, exaggerate a little bit. Feel that you can direct your breath right down into the pelvis. And you can also, as you inhale, roll your pelvis away a little bit. Stick your bum out, roll more towards the sits bones. Exhale, scoop the tail. Let the low back comfortably flatten out. But even once you're flat, continue the exhale as just a strong hug. Empty the breath out. Yep, it's just good old apanasana, conscious breath. Kind of a dynamic apanasana. Inhale now, you might want to take the knees away a little bit more to support that roll of the pelvis. Stay slow, throat and chest are relaxed. You're exhaling, you're emptying everything out. You're emptying out completely. Inhale like a liquid's moving right down into the floor of pelvis, bringing a sense of strength and steadiness. Follow that little roll of sacrum on your mat. Feel earth is supporting you. Stay with breath. So we're still just doing the same thing. You just keep your gaze internal. We're just squeezing the knees all the way in into Apanasana with the low back flat. Breath really comfortably empty. Consciously filling the breath down into pelvic floor at the same time. You're rolling your pelvis away from you, rolling your pubic bone down towards the floor, taking the knees away again. Breath getting really full into low belly and pelvis. Your inner ears are open, your jaw is relaxed. You're choosing to connect to the systems of support that are available, that are yours, and in fact are your birthright. Stay with it. We're sending a signal through creating our own peristalsis, that lack of pulsation that perhaps has inhibited flow, is inhibiting flow. So just opening up that bigger wave, the yogis call it spanda. Because Sanskrit's one of the oldest languages, it shares the same root with spandex. But spanda is the pulsation that governs all things in the universe. How did they know principles that we had to discover with quantum physicists? Next time you inhale away, drop your feet flat, just pause in what we call constructive rest. Your heels are heavy, your seat is heavy. Relax your jaw. From here, let's just head into the glutes a little more immediately tonight. One of the stresses we get in knees, Susan had mentioned feel a little less power in the glutes, but one of the stresses we get in knees is because of tightness in the external rotators and the muscles of our butts, is that that get extra tight, interestingly, perhaps, when sitting. We might have, hopefully we've all been getting out, less so today, I imagine, but with the sitting, right, has been a little extra. So we're gonna actually hit it twice tonight, my obsession pose. Sukhi Randrasana, which we do so much in this class, or the traditional version of this class, because so fundamental in health of back, and the low back in particular. But also, key is take your right knee away, squeeze in between your knees, roll your pubic bone down towards the floor. But also just in modern life, we've just got this very imbalanced tendency to have weaker inner thighs and tighter bums. Let's let this pose be a strengthener as well as a hip opener. Squeeze in between your knees, activate your inner thighs, create a little magnetic attraction. Black belts, your job is going to be to keep just a little bit of arch in the low back and to keep your ribs in. Everybody else, or if you're a little bit newer, or if that's more challenging, it's going to be better to go ahead and flatten out your back and keep the engagement in the inner thighs. Either way is good. Squeeze in, though. Everybody's going to keep their inner thighs toned. Yep, so if this is feeling like a workable place, you'll keep that inner thigh toned, and you'll make the pose more interesting by rolling your pubic bone down to get deeper into, to deepen your groins, which you'll find will directly proportionally deepen your hip stretch. If there's too much going on in low back, get the heck out of Dodge at any point, or you give yourself a little extra support with hands or a strap. If strength and creating a little more warmth is the more on your agenda today, things are feeling good, make it even more interesting. Tuck the ribs a bit and maybe extend through the arms. So the ideal there would be pulling your lower front ribs in as the pubic bone reaches down. Remember, you're going to come out of this at any point. Exhales, bringing you down. Let's switch it up. The other tricky part of this is I usually don't practice while I'm teaching because I'm looking if what I'm talking about is making sense. So please, I'm hoping all the tech is working. We're going to have some tutorial stuff available soon. Spread the toes of your left foot, left knee presses away, hug in. So remember, just if I'm losing you on something or you want something clarified, just unmute and chime. I should hear you. Squeeze in. I'll get us to all those same points. Pubic bone rolls down, right foot's coming away. We might already know we need support, right? And play with it. You'll find though, especially if we stay with the listening, find your breath, is that this hip is a lot different, right? So let's see if you can roll your left sits bone down a little bit more. Notice how body wants to move where it's freer, ribs want to pop. So it might even be worth it to press the elbows down and kind of pull your back ribs away with a crunch-like action. Some of us might want to continue to make that even a little more of a challenging core work. But let's stay in hips, so any of those variations are available. Pubic bone rolling down, sits bones rolling down. Holding the leg if you need to. I think you need one more breath here. Exhales, bring you down. Uncrossing your legs. We're going to actually visit that one again, but you may be excited to hear we're going to do a really sloppy version of it after all that detail. Wiggle your feet as wide as your mat, please, yogis. Hands might be useful on low belly here. Take a nice breath down into pelvis. Even with me squawking through your computer, remind yourself of the choice to listen and to connect. You're doing it now. Lift and spread your toes. Keep that good active energy in your toes. Just to keep threading back to the knees a little bit, the 6 arches that you just activated in your toes are the most important supports for stress in your knees. But even right here, right now, simply by lifting and spreading your toes, best you can, draw your little toes out to the sides, even back. Even now, just through the engagement, you can feel it. A lot of you guys, I know, this review, is you can feel how that's toning the muscles all the way up to the freest joints in your body, largest, freest, more stability required. Keep that stability with active feet like you're wearing energetic socks. Draw the energy, believe it or not, all the way up into the hips. We're simply taking the knees side to side and saying a little bit of a good evening to our IT bands. And that's the other big structure that we want to give some love to as we head towards the knees. You're feeling that probably a bit as your inside knee comes down towards the floor. Don't force, but just kind of hang out there on those inside knee bits a little bit, because that's where our body's heading, and we want to let her know, or him, Mr. Jeff. And then the next time you're dropping over, sort of used to here. The next time you're dropping over to the left, go all the way over. Keep the toes of your right foot active. Activate them now if they turned off, which is totally understandable. And then tonight, we're gonna invite you to pull back just isometrically into your right heel a bit. So you got your toes active. Now you're going to pull back into your right heel just a bit. Don't overdo it because you have really strong muscles back here. We just want that little bit of tone. And then through that little bit of a pull, you're going to lengthen your tailbone down. Don't force, listen to me. The catch-22 here is in order to get to this muscle, we have to ask a bit of knees. We're giving it lots of support, but you listen to me before me. Now we're pressing your inside knee, your right knee rather, down towards the floor, lengthening through the tail. Keep that, get out of here at any point. As a group, we're going to hold this for a little bit. The nature of the IT band, I'll tell you later. Bring your palms down to your sides like you're preparing for a twist, because you are. You're going to press both palms down, pull your shoulder blades in, big breath into your heart. Exhale, turn your heart and head to the right. I'm pressing down, I'm using that lift of my shoulder blades to encourage even more rotation. Then maybe even I ground down with my elbows again, maybe even a little bit more. That's going to ask more of the twist in your hips. So pause, see how things are working. Activate your toes like I just turned mine off. Stretch through your right arm. Reach from your tailbone. Remember the action. You're going to pull back into your knee a little bit. You're going to lengthen your tailbone through your thigh all the way down and away from you. And then at the same time, from your heart, reach up to your fingertips. Turn into your right armpit and ask yourself, in this time of being at home, have I cut down on what the yogis call saucha, cleanliness? Exhales, bringing yourself down. It was a lot easier to get out of there. You might find, because of that lateral pressure, that keeping the toes active and a windshield wiper or two. You also may notice you've kind of shifted your whole core a bit, so you might even need to bump your hips back to center. From there, remember, chime if you need to. Lift and spread your toes. Let's just take a nice full breath and feel the exhale with your heels. Feel the weight of your heels in the sacrum. We'll windshield wiper less to get to this other side, but we will do a couple. Take your knees side to side, see how things are feeling. Maybe just take a moment to remind ourselves that it's through listening that we connect. Feel this little symphony of action that's happening at your sacrum and low back. It's pretty amazing. Let's see, we're going to the right if you feel ready. And windshield wiper more. If you need to, get out of here, take a break. You saw how long we're holding this, so you can just shift out of this pressure at any point, just rejoin us. Same idea, active energy in now left foot. We're gonna work it with this little more specific idea tonight. You're gonna press, pull back isometrically into your left heel to create more of this lengthening action, this extending from tailbone all the way through thigh bone. So thigh bone is reaching down and away from you. We're gonna just keep that, even though I'm gonna bring your attention to other things. We're gonna press the palms down. If the elbows works better, you got where I'm going with this. So we're looking for what's the best way to get some leverage. I like the palms because we can integrate the shoulder blades in there. But then you might try, see what works for you. Press the elbows down, press the palms down to get the sense of lift. I'm actually gonna lift up my heart and use this leverage to really turn my core, my spine over to the left. From there, I'm gonna draw my arm into the socket, hollow out my armpit a bit. And so as I stretch up overhead, I'm not attached to getting to the floor. We're really just enjoying the opportunity to create some space and to receive some space. I think we all agree that's in order. So feel that you're doing it now. Pull back into your heel, lengthen from tailbone to knee, root into the length of earth. From your heart, stretch up through your fingertips. So you're pulling longer through the trunk as opposed to pulling your shoulder into your ear. Breathe right into your left-hand side. Other modifications is you can use your free foot to rest on. Always a million modifications. Exhales, bringing your hand down and your knees back up. We're gonna even ourselves out if necessary. We're gonna pause to listen. Really honor the exhale is more than a letting go of carbon dioxide. It's a letting go of the stimulated part of the nervous system. It's a letting go of what doesn't serve. It's an opportunity to let go of worry. Sloppy, Sukhi Randrasana, as promised. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, squeeze in a bit, knees come in, you're just gonna, everybody's gonna grab the back of the left thigh, we're just gonna squunch. Just like we were in those earlier apanasanas, let yourself kind of connect the squeeze to the exhale. And we're just holding the stretch to wherever there's no form we're serving, it's just determined by the stretch you're getting in your right hip. Few of us won't find much here. Most of us will find something if we go this far. The next one, just one more detour before we get out of here. I guess I fibs technically, is press your ankle into your knee. Press your ankle into your knee, holding your hands behind your thighs. So your arms are just straight. They're acting like ropes now because your ankle's pressing into your knee. You're going to use that action. Keep doing what I'm doing now. You're going to use that action and that broadening to create a widening through your right hip. You're going to really set your hip back in the socket. Think of not only sticking your right butt out, but widening it. I know, it's like, wait a minute, wider butt, I didn't sign up for that. Of course, what we're doing is we're setting the hip, the socket, the acetabular, we're setting the bone in the socket, and that's another knee irritant. That's also a little bit, it's good for all of us, unquestionably, but also for Susan's specific challenge tonight. Come on out, yogis, switch it up. Sloppy Sukhi Rajasana, easy hip pose, squeeze in. We're just letting ourselves crank. Remember, you have a more open hip and you have a stronger hip. This should reveal it. The one that feels tighter is the stronger hip. Generally, some musculars, it gets a little more sophisticated than that. It's easy to make the tight one though when we're in yoga, the bad one. But I find in many years of this, that if it's a dance between finding the balance of freedom and stability, it's better to be a little more on the stable end than the freedom end. Freedom is more fun, but more hurt. I think that's universally true. From here, yogis, remember we're just taking a little detour to set the hips into the socket, or the femur in the hip socket. You're holding the thigh. You're going to use that to press. You need to activate the lower body. So you're going to press the thigh. Just press it in the thigh. You'll feel your low back tone, and then you know you're with me. And then you're going to press your ankle. That's the structure you're going to build off of. You're going to press your ankle into knee, and you're going to use that. It's the action. You're really creating a torquing action here. Pressing ankle into knee. You're really broadening out your butt. Susan, really roll your sits bones down towards the floor for you. Like, assuming this is working. This is what we'll talk more about tomorrow. I'm going to broaden out a little bit. But that's the idea, is you're deepening your left groin. We're just setting that pretty firmly. And now we'll let it go out. We'll uncross the legs. Heading towards bridge pose, people. If you have a block, this is absolutely not necessary, but it's a good idea for many. It fits with what I was just saying. Because the other catch-22, of course, the tools that create stability are activated in our willpower and strength, and they often are a little in less than harmony with listening, right? That's the tricky part. That's the opportunity in the yoga. So I like the block because the stress on the knees often comes from bridge by the knees splaying, but that's actually giving us a more important cue, is that really important muscles, your key core muscles, that for most of us could be stronger, your adductors are not firing. So it doesn't matter if you have the block or not. The block is nice because if you put it on this end, or create something that has about the width of your sits bones, it will keep us, it'll support the low back, it'll support really this whole chain of action. Key relationship in the knees would be, and this is also tends to imbalance in a lot of places, is inner thighs tend to be too weak, the outer hips too strong or too tight. Squeeze in, yogis, spread your toes. In fact, knee addition, let's do bridge pose, the first one anyway, with active toes. One more piece though, let's just see if we can suss out a little more space. So you got the block, you're squeezing the block, you press your elbows down and do a little action of a crunch, just to see if there's any opportunity to just kind of inchworm the spine a little bit longer. Get up. Once you got that action, not a good idea to have anything behind your head. When we go up in the bridge, it's going to end up putting more pressure on your neck. So even if you're using something with all this floor work, go ahead and slide it away here. Press your elbows down, press your shoulders down. Inhale, come on up, Setu Bandhasana. Here your glutes are going to tend to want to squeeze extra. We want them to tone, but we are not looking for squeeze in the life. In fact, look for the play between squeezing the block, a little bit of tone in glutes, and that last idea, how much strength, how much stability can you feed into your bridge pose right now without inhibiting your ability to listen and choose to connect? What are the resources that are here? Get out of bridge pose at any point, yogis. If as a group, because the base on who's here is you're going to press your heels down, you're going to press your tail away from you. Inhale, your heart's lifting up towards your chin, but your chin is rolling away. Be big. Turn your palms a little bit more up towards the ceiling as you exhale down towards the floor. Groins get hollow, belly gets hollow. Pause to listen. So just back in constructive rest. Jaw soft, tongue is soft. A little bit of space in the skin between the eyebrows. Become aware of your thoughts. Become aware of the space in your inner ears, and behind your eyes. We'll move off of the floor in just a moment, but let's just give ourselves one more bridge pose. We're going to work it pretty much the way we worked it before. This next one is tricky. Some of us were working with some more specific stuff on how do we create lateral forces and different forces into body when in a down-regulated, in a quieter environment. So this is one we've been playing with. Knee folks, although that fits for the knees as well, we actually want to get out of our habitual movement patterns, and it sounds a little wacky, but we actually want to create stresses into the knees that we don't normally get. It's true of every relationship structure in our body. So this one, but just the caveat there is the folks with the knees, if things are inflamed or other things are inflamed, then that is not the time, of course, to put those loads in body, no matter how quiet your nervous system is. So with that in mind, you might want to just do a steady bridge pose. We're going to do this wacky typewriter bridge pose. Turn your palms up, ground back into your skull. We're just going to go right back up where we started. I want to roll the shoulder blades underneath a little bit more this time. We're actually, the other thing we're going to do is, what I always say don't do, is squeeze your butt and seek your bum out towards the sky a little bit. And then keep your chin up. You're going to slide your hips over to the left. Feel the difference between hips and knees. You're going to drop your hips just a smidge. Then you're going to slide your hips all the way over to the right off center. You're going to drop a smidge, and we're going to slide all the way back over. Got the idea? We're dropping a smidge. We're sliding all the way back over, and we're just working ourselves down all the way. Pause. Take a breath. Draw your knees up. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock side to side. Roll all the way over to the right. Let's just do a couple things. Let's just do a couple things on all fours and give ourselves an opportunity for down dog or two here in a minute. Let's work some stabilizing actions. Stretch your right leg straight back. Pull your lower front ribs in and stretch back from ribs to heel. You're going to press down more enthusiastically through your right index finger knuckle. Look up a bit. Melt your heart. Left arm is reaching forward. Squeeze in. Do that little bit of tone. Just because we do, please don't let ego get in the way here. We do have a wide range of folks, and it is just a nice available pose here. You can bump your foot in, reach back, grab your foot. Not appropriate for a lot of us, but just to give us the option, we have a wide range of folks, and then from there you can kick back into the foot, open up your heart a little bit. Take that detour, come right back. Let's stay with our stabilizing theme, and we're going to bring knee into elbow. Did a little bit last week. Knee into elbow. When you stretch all the way back out, when you reach through the heel, take a moment to pull the ribs in and really find full extension. Nice, you guys. And now you're just going to bring your hand down. You're going to take your right leg across the body to the left. It's just a little bit awkward. You're going to take the leg across the foot, across the body to the left. Curl your toes under. And it's really the same action. You're going to pull your ribs in to press back through your heel. So we're looking for, feel a little opening on your right side already. But we're going to enhance that by bumping our right hand a little bit forward and maybe just a little bit into the midline. Then you're going to shrug your right shoulder like crazy. I want you to please keep your gaze down at the floor. And as you shrug your shoulder towards your ear, start to take your left ear towards your left shoulder. So you're from your right side ribs pulling in, you're pressing back through your right heel. You're sliding your right shoulder up towards your right ear, but your right ear is running away because it's heading over to the left. So the idea here is like you're curling yourself around like a giant redwood tree. Breathe into your whole right side. It was wacky to get here, but really easy to get out. You're just going to step your knee back, bring your hand back. You're either going to fall back into some version of child's pose or polar bear pose and just breathe and listen. Or you're going to spread your fingers, press down into the knuckles of your palms so there's an unmistakable engagement in your forearms. You're going to look up, melt your heart, curl your toes if they're not, and you're going to take yourself back into downward facing dog. So be in child's pose, focus on your exhales. Dogs draw more energy in from your feet and lift your sits bones way, way up. That little bit of lumbar curve that I was talking about earlier on in the beginning of the class when we sat for a little bit of meditation, that same action, right? We've been looking at it last night. Stick your bum out like a pup stretching in the morning. Down dogs, if you're wanting more vigorousness, then slide forward into plank before you meet us in table position. And children, please slide up to table. Yep, so let's all meet up at table. Come to plank if you want before table. All right, on proceeding from table at this point, stretch your left leg straight back. Remember we did that little bit of balancing table. Pull your ribs in. Don't let it be jargon. Remember, modification here, you'd be keeping the foot turned under the whole time. Pull the ribs in, press back the heel. Keep that extension. And then from there, right arm went forward. Left index finger knuckle grounding down. So we're balancing table now. Arm and leg both drawing into the midline, ribs drawing in. That's a lot of really healthy stabilizing action. Now the yoga is to feel how we're doing on the listening front. Even in the midst of such a stabilizing and supportive pose, can there be a little less striving? Even here, can there be a little more ease? I guess that option to do that crazy little twist. So remember, totally optional. You kick your foot back and turn yourself open. From there, I think I want to get my sequence wrong there. Probably giving us too many options. From here, yogis, we are doing that little floating crunch a bit. Where you're working, you'll need to make contact. In fact, the hand you're on is really key. The more you can find that index of your knuckle, believe it or not, you'll actually be able to activate your core more. So we're just doing a couple of these, elbow to knee, you're stretching all the way straight. Maybe just one more. And then from there, we're left leg, bring your hands down. So we just have the one leg back in table. You're gonna slide your left leg across the right. You're gonna drop it down. It's gonna be a little bit awkward. You're keeping your body pretty, whether that be parallel to the floor, so we're not turning ourselves open here. And particularly the head, we're not turning the head either. So your gaze is down. You're gonna step your left hand maybe just a little bit forward and a little bit in. The folks who are more familiar with this, you can kind of exaggerate that. It'll give you more space but less stability. Slide your shoulder way up towards your ear, look down at the floor. Think of the extension of the pose is from your back heel to the very top of your head, right? So you're gonna keep your gaze down as you slide your left shoulder towards your left ear, but your right ear is heading towards your right shoulder. You're curling your whole self around this imaginary giant redwood tree with as much length as possible. Breathe into your whole left side. Excellent, you guys. You can step it just back to the table. And not to give too many options, and hopefully next week I'll be broadcasting from my home, so I won't have a little child issue. Damn, kids wouldn't come to the studio. But, anyway, so I don't want to run too late here, you guys, but I want to do some more things. So I just want to give us just one more option, just because we focused a lot on the lower body tonight, and I have some really good grounding stuff that helps you sleep well, is we're going to have the option to do one more dog. Is the other option there that just in terms of sort of bang for our buck would be a dolphin pose. So it also takes out the wrists. So for our little bit of loving in the hamstrings tonight, you could go dolphin pose. So that would be on forearms, palms down, fingers interlaced is a little bit more stabilizing if it's less familiar. And if it is a new pose for you, it does ask more of the shoulders. So as we go into it, go slowly. Look up a bit. Down dog, of course, is also available. Soften your heart. So it's like down dog. It's the most inappropriately named pose, I always say, because dolphin pose should be really happy. Exhale, you're going to lift your butt. You're going to squeeze that one to the dolphin. Dog pose, it's pretty much all the same stuff. Is squeeze in between your elbows, squeeze in between your feet, lift your sits bones. Press your whole forearm down into the earth and make yourself longer. Nice, you guys. Really good. And then here, please just let's stay with our theme of listening and you squeezing in. It might make sense to get the heck out of Dodge right now because your shoulder's fat enough, or for you to take the hamstring stretch a little bit further by mindfully straightening the legs without curling up the low back. And I'm just going to give us a few breaths here. And so what I would suggest on getting out of this is either just bend your knees and come down into a child's pose, or once again, you can slide into, it's not really plank, it's what we call chaturanga B, is you can slide yourself forward and work the core a little bit in a plank that's on your forearms. You might need to walk your feet back a bit. That would be another option. We are going to bring ourselves back to our backs and relax a little bit. Yes. Awesome, you guys. And then the folks who are doing the chaturanga plank thing, you're just going to bend your knees and press yourself back into child's pose. Please, let's all just meet up in some version of child's pose where your head is below your heart and your heart is full to the universe from the back. Take a breath into the back of your heart, into that space that's available in your back body. That really is kind of beautiful on so many different levels. The yogis have some energetic and esoteric reasons, but even just practically, the support is really built into the back of us. But we are geared towards the front of the world. Strong case for listening in this relationship where we're a bit close. Yogis, we're going to maneuver around onto your back. I'm going to do, I know all this, talk about how we do with these tools and who owns these tools, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I've just been doing some, Anne asked the other night for the 61 points. The other one that I've actually been doing a little bit in my own practice on the cousins of Shavasana, deeper relaxation, kind of meditative front, I guess, if we're honest, is a one called Arta Sharira, or half body breathing, which is actually really indicated for spring, but also very grounding. So some of you guys will recognize this one. Basically, all we're doing is setting ourselves up on your back with any support, and just make sure there's no distractions. And the only little this is actually a general suggestion. You see this in a bunch of texts. Nothing touching your fingertips, just because of the nature of this next practice, that is the case. Oh, and toe tips, really, but it's not. It's pretty settled. Just feel body open to earth. Feel the connection of us in different places, but in what really matters in the yoga is the Atta, is the power of now, is where our freedom lies. Atta Yoga Nushasana. The experience of yoga is only possible in the present moment. Feeling the connection of now through this remarkable technology and the choice to be here. Feeling the connection to the vibrance and vitality that you've stirred through our practice tonight. Feel the energy in the soles of your feet. The opening of energy from pelvis to your feet. Feel your knees and your belly. Feel your chest, feel your heart. Feel your head. Feel your mind. Relax your mind and relax your heart and relax your personality. Relax your throat and your chest. Just feel this bigger connection with life itself. So easy to take them for granted. They rarely cross our mind, but the truth is, every breath is a gift. It allows the gift of you to be in the world. Experience your next inhale as if it was moving in you through your left nostril, left fingertips, and left toe tips. Almost as if the breath was a liquid that was just filling you right to the center. The inhales just filled the left half of you to the center of your spine. And just as effortlessly, just much ease, exhale moves out those same points, your left nostril, left fingertips, and toe tips, and feel your left side just comfortably empty. A quiet consciousness grows in your left side as the inhale happens again. Fingertips, toe tips, toe tips, left nostril, filling your left side. Exhaling, empty. Do that one more time on the left. Feel earth supporting you as you exhale through the points on the left side. And no need to try as your awareness moves to your right nostril, right fingertips, and toe tips. Inhale fills you through these points. To the very center of your spine, back and front. Feel breath as a gift, healing and nurturing. All the layers. Everything, all the expressions of you on this right side. Exhales moving out those same points. Stay with it as you do that for a total of 3 times on the right side. Moving back to the left. Inhales moving in the same points, but this time, the sweet nurturing inhale is going to just fill your whole body. Feel it, enjoy it. And now the exhale is going to move back out the right. So it came in through the left, it filled you, it nurtured you, and now as it moves out the right, it's just emptying and clearing out all that doesn't serve. Plug these in as they fit for your rhythm. I'll just set it up and get out of your way now. Inhale is going to come back in through the right. It's going to move out the left. Going to go in left, your pace, filling you, nurturing, fortifying. Exhale is going to move out the right. It's like a whole body alternate nostril breath. And then just feel that the rhythm can almost become a less of a doing and more of something that you're just entering into. I'm going to give us a few minutes. You might find that you just want to melt this away into Shavasana. Well, sometimes when there's a lot stirring in mind, keeping just this little echo of practice can be just what we need to settle into peace. Try less, listen more. Gift of connecting, happening now. pause any little bit of practice that's still happening. Simply be, experience, listening, connecting. What the yogis call muha hridayam, close up everything in the cave of our hearts. It is neither near nor far. It's quite simply the experience of peace, of joy that is our hearts. And it can only be found in the self. You are the source of peace in yourself and in the world. In this time where it's hard to experience our own power, feel the power of that. Allow these practices of connecting, of listening, of quieting, support us in our choices. Support us in kind of the most unsatisfying or most satisfying, perhaps, yogic practice of them all, which is Shraddha, which is trust, ultimately not in charge. Stretch out through your fingers and toes, yogis. Maybe give your nose a wiggle, or better yet, just stay right there in Shavasana and turn off your computer right now.